So I think we mostly are on board with screencasting because we're here, but I just want to talk a little bit of the why and the rationale. One thing is that it actually could be a lot faster. I know, especially when we were in that fully online mode, instead of like typing out a bunch of stuff to my kids or a long wordy email of trying to explain or clarify or give directions, it was really helpful for me to just record myself, you know, and even the kinds of directions I just wanted them to have, like they were just doing like an online assessment, let's say, but the kinds of things you would stand up and say to them right before they took the test in your room, I really liked capturing that, even if it was just 2 minutes or less of me just clarifying some things, emphasizing some things, and it coming from me in my voice. I feel like they pay more attention to that than, you know, reading through a bunch of stuff I typed up. And it can actually be a lot faster, even with helping kids one-on-one. Sometimes I would make a Loom and send it to them. Like they would ask me a question, and it's a situation where instead of getting this long email chain back and forth, I just found this was faster, easier. I don't have to sit there and proof it and eyeball it, make it perfect. I just, you know, speak on the fly. According to Loom, you increase student comprehension. I don't know if this is a peer-reviewed study, but they claim that you have a 95% retention rate when you watch a video versus 10% for plain text. I'm sure this plain text option was like the most horrific piece of paper with like no white space and no organization. But when they did, you know, some testing where they you know, gave content those two different ways, they had a much better retention with the video. So there is kind of some, you know, research or arguments that sometimes video can be more effective for your kids than something written. I think it's really a great idea to capture our lessons. They have been really ephemeral, you know, and kind of lost to the world once they're gone. I would encourage you guys to think about recording, even just, you know, we think of this as just recording something and sending the kids to do on their own time, but even when you're doing a live presentation, I would encourage you to think about recording what you're doing. And, you know, in Teams, there's a really easy record button. You can do it that way. You could also, you know, use Loom if that feels appropriate for however that situation is, but you capture the lesson, you have it. And if a kid is absent, you can send them that live, you know, that lecture. You don't have to reteach it to them. So I think there's something kind of positive. There are even some colleges that for years prior to all this automatically have just a video camera that captures every lecture and immediately throws that on the cloud for them. And there is, I think, an increased expectation amongst just culturally students in general that they want to be able to watch you and rewatch you and have access to that. And even in our parent surveys, there was information from parents that even if we're in person, they would really like their kids to be able to access. And I know some have said different feelings about that, but there is kind of a push towards that everything be, the lessons itself be recorded so that kids can replay them. So that's part of this. And then also just connecting with your kids. If we're not physically present, having you and your voice is a lot, they like that a lot more than just sending them, you know, YouTube videos. You know, some of the YouTube videos, of course, they're gonna love, but you know, if they can hear you and see you, then, and I like how Loom gives you that little circle of you down at the bottom, they like that. It helps you connect with them more. So one thing that I think is really confusing for people with Loom is that there is the online piece. There's a website, loom.com, where you make your account and everything and where your videos live. And then there is how you record it. So there's a desktop app, which is what I recommend you guys use, that is living on your computer that you access, and then it's going to automatically throw it up here to the website interface. There's also a Chrome extension where you can record directly from the online piece. But I would say that's like a good backup, but honestly, it's limited and you can do more with the desktop tool. So I would prefer to have more, not less. So, but people get a little confused about where they are and what's happening. You've got this desktop app, but as soon as you record something, it throws you online because that's where it's storing your video. It's hosting the video for you. And that's where you can find videos, share videos, edit videos. All that happens online, but you have this tool on your computer that'll do it for you. So kind of just a recap, we're talking about the desktop, you have the Google Chrome browser. You also have a Loom mobile app. So you could do it from your phone. The main reason for this would be I'm in a pinch, right? My computer's not working. I don't know, like some sort of a backup plan because something has gone haywire. Also, if you were doing some situation where like you wanted to give your kids like a field trip of some sort, you don't want to stand around with your computer like trying to walk around filming whatever you're showing them. It'd be a lot easier to take the camera on your phone and make a quick Loom video. I mean, maybe you want to do a virtual field trip where like you can't take your class to this place. you know what, you're gonna go and you're gonna talk about what you would want them to see and you're gonna film it. And you could, that's when I would say you'd really want that Loom mobile app. So backup, or if you're doing something kind of where you need to show them things with your phone. I mean, maybe you're doing like a science experiment demo for them. They can't do it live with you, but you're doing it and you want to, you know, film something somehow. Okay, for that Loom desktop option, I do think in the spring that's what we were steered towards. I think a lot of us have it, but if you don't have it, you can download it just at loom.com/desktop, or when you're in your Loom account, you click on more, and there's this desktop app here. That's just to download it, and that confuses people sometimes too. This is just downloading it. It's not taking you to your desktop app. So one of the reasons I steer you towards it is because it can do more than the Chrome extension. At the same time, though, something's going crazy, desktop app's not working, in a pinch, grab the Chrome extension. It takes 1 second to add it. So some things that you can't do with the Chrome extension is you can't record that camera bubble across applications in the same way. You can't use the drawing tools, which are really nice that let you kind of annotate the screen while you're recording. You don't have mouse click highlight, you don't have custom recording dimensions. So those are some reasons I would steer you to or using the desktop app, just because you can do more with it. So when you load the desktop app, it only pops up this kind of small little screen on your computer. And I have a Mac, and yours may look a little different with PC. In fact, I'd love to find out today. I know when I first made this lesson, these options were not on the PC, but they're supposed to be launched soon. So I'll talk about them. If you don't see them, it's supposed to be released before the start of school. So this little kind of tiny box pops up, and then you kind of have some decisions to make right away. So this is the first section, and this is deciding if you want to capture the screen on your computer and have that little camera of you, which you've seen, like, at the very least, we've all saw like Barry's Looms, right, where he's in them. And then, or you can just view your screen, or you can have just your camera. And while you're recording, you can toggle around. If you've got your camera activated, you can decide to click into like a full frame of view and then back to your screen. So these options, these are the ones I said you might not have yet, but you should have soon if you don't. And previously, you just had to capture your entire screen. Now they're giving you the option of just areas of your screen. So window would limit to just a certain application. So even if you click into other things, that it's only going to capture that application. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a Word document, whatever it is. And then custom size lets you just draw out your section. Like, this is my recording area on my screen. And then, of course, you got to make sure you stay in it. But it'll give you a little bit of an outline so you know where you're at. Then this next section, yeah, did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you said. So then this section is, if you're having technical difficulties, this is where you want to look. So you want to make sure that you do have a camera selected, that you do have a microphone selected. If these aren't selected, then that could be the problem. Also, if you see red here, internet speed, if it's not green, then that should maybe be the issue. So this kind of technical piece that should just probably be fine, but if you're having a problem, you want to double check those things. Then you click on start recording. So this is like a PowerPoint thing, and it's going to kind of show you what it is you're recording. You might have to click start recording again, and it is going to give you a countdown, and you can pause the countdown, which is kind of nice. So you can say, hold on, and then let it go. I would say, when that countdown, it counts down like 3, 2, 1, give yourself a pause. Don't jump right in, because I've noticed that part of my first word will get clipped off. I'm a little jumping the gun on it. So, take a breath, give it a pause, and then start recording. And remember, we can edit this later. So even if I have too much downtime at the beginning, I can trim it later. Then you're going to get these little kind of like tools that you're going to hover over your screen, but you're only going to see the red box. You actually have to kind of click, drag. It's kind of, it's so funny. All the interfaces, I think, are moving towards this, where things are hidden unless you hover your mouse exactly the right spot. And I don't like it, because if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there. So you're going to see only a stop button. If you hover your mouse in this vicinity, these guys will pop up. And so I can stop my recording, I can pause or and restart here, which I need to make better use of that. I think I'm bad about just letting it roll when I could have just paused it and then, gotten it situated the way I need it and then resume. You can trash it. You also have a pen tool, which is really cool, because as I'm talking through, I can kind of mark up, draw arrows, you know, click around. And when I click the pen tool again, it'll just disappear. The writing will disappear. And then I can click again to do more. So it's kind of nice how it stays captured as long as I want it, and it goes away when I want it to go away. So one thing I want to point out here is kind of maddeningly or annoyingly, the Chrome extension looks different. So this is how desktop looks. If you're in the Chrome extension, it's kind of counterintuitive because your stop button is actually a green button with the idea of being, I guess I'm done. I don't know, there's like no consistency between those two things. So if you do end up in the other version and it looks different, just know you may have to experiment a little bit to figure out what each button does. Again, because at the moment they don't have it uniform, which I don't understand that, but if you're just in desktop, this is what you can expect. So for your camera options, you can choose, you know, to turn it off. You can do a small little bubble, or now they have a bigger bubble. I don't know if they had that before. And then this is a full screen option. But also what's really cool, and I'm pretty sure this is new, is I can have my image here and not a video. So even if you don't want a live video of yourself, you can at least pop in your picture there. So it's kind of like you're kind of there. And then the other neat thing, and this is definitely new, is I can have multiple profile picture options, right? So when you go into your settings, you have this upload button right here, and I can upload lots of pictures. It doesn't even have to be pictures of me. It could be my alter egos, could be little characters, could be anything you want it to be. And then when I'm recording, while I'm recording, I can click here and toggle through my different choices. So those are all just like different pictures of me, but I know, for example, Miss Cruz has a Grammar Girl character who has a costume and everything. I really envision that she might want Grammar Girl to pop in every now and again. You could have happy teacher, sad teacher, mad teacher. Like, you could have some fun with that if you wanted to, especially if you're someone who's like, I don't really want a live video of myself up there. Do some pictures and have fun with it. So after you finish recording, it's just going to throw it into that internet website, and it's actually going to launch it automatically for you. It'll start popping up on your screen. All of a sudden, like, you're not in the desktop app anymore, you are online. And you have your video, right? Big, you know, you got this nice big blue copy link that you can immediately shoot it out to people. Most likely, you know, if this is something you're assigning to your kids, and probably you're gonna attach it, you know, into the assignment in your assignment calendar. Or if you're building out more of like a checklist you might be building like a topics page for kids to move through your lesson, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Then you would, you know, link to the topics page in your calendar, but then have that link, you know, maybe step 5 is watch this video. So you could kind of organize that way too. So you also have this link sharing here. You know, I don't know that this is real applicable, but with certain things, you might want to lock it down more. So you can choose, you know, only certain people can see it. You can add a password to it. So depending on what the content is, you do have some stuff where you can do stuff. But I caution you, be careful with this. Don't get carried away with it, because it's also creating barriers for your students potentially, and it might be harder for them to find it depending on what you're doing up here. So if you add a password, make sure they know what the password is, you know, that kind of thing. So, and if you really wanted to, you know, you can invite just the people in your class to it. But again, then, you know, kind of creates a little bit of a barrier for them. They got to make sure they're logged in, and I don't know. So just know that. So you can download the file here. So if you want to use Edpuzzle, for example, like you want to know if they watched your video, you don't want to just shoot it out and hope for the best. You can download it, and then you're going to upload it into Edpuzzle. And then you can add in like, you know, any questions you want to put in that they have to answer, and having that accountability of knowing that they watched it. So then, oh, this is just a note about posting for students. So, you know, you can paste that directly. If the assignment is to watch the video, you know, you can do it right here. Or honestly, now that we have Edpuzzle, I'm the kind of person who's probably always going to want to put it in Edpuzzle, and this will become an Edpuzzle link because I want to know that they watched it. But that's just me. So the students on that end, you know, they would see, you know, the assignment, and then they could potentially just, you know, link right to it, whether it's Edpuzzle or the actual Loom link or whatever it is. Or this could be just something that you have on a topics page. Maybe you're just archiving lectures or whatnot. So then kind of moving through the interface again, this next button is to make a copy. So if you need to duplicate it, you can trash it. This is just a sharing shortcut that's just taking you to this step up here again. If you need to rename it, you can just click into this, It's kind of not super obvious. You just have to click around and it'll highlight and let you type over and retitle it. You also have the option to organize it. You can move it into a folder. Over here, we have the chance to edit our video. First, we have settings. If you click on settings, the big thing you might want to pay attention to is comments. You can allow or not allow commenting. So kids can, maybe post questions. That might be something you invite them to do that you want, or it might be something that you really don't want. And if you have comments, you can decide if you want to be notified. So maybe, you want comments, but you really want to be on top of what's being commented. If you have any fears around that, you can get a notification anytime someone comments. It might just be if you're inviting them to ask questions, you might want the notification to be like, a kid asked me a question, because you're not going over there looking at your video all the time, right? You want that notification. And you might encourage them, especially if it's a class lecture, they're watching on their own time, post your questions below. And then they can all see it as well. So from a management perspective, it's easier on you if they're going there than you get 10 emails of the same question from 10 different kids, right? You answer it once, everyone can look and see. And then there's some kind of just little fun things, like if kids can put emoji reactions on there, that sort of thing. One big thing you might also want to consider is if you want to allow them to be able to download your video or not. You might not. You might want that off. Why do they need to download it, right? I don't know. That's my feeling. Like, why would you need to download it? I don't think you need to download it. What are you going to do with that video? You're going to edit it and do something goofy with it? That would be my fear, especially by a minute. Then you can click on the scissors to trim it. So you get this little interface, and you have this little red bar you can move around. And basically you can click on the edges to make it smaller or bigger. And what this is basically doing is letting you delete chunks of it. So maybe it's a chunk out of the middle, hit remove. It could be if it's the front or the end. I just decide it's like my little snipping tool. Take this out. And then there will not be, if I take something out of the middle, there's not going to be any dead air. It's going to splice it together for you. This is one advantage of this over the free Screencastomatic, because correct me if I'm wrong, Whit, but I think that you can't take chunks out of the middle in the editing. You can only do the front end. So that's one thing I like better about Loom. This call to action button, I'm going to tell you about it. I personally don't see much use for it, but you might. And all this is it's going to give them a clickable link on the actual video. So to set it up, you're just saying, what should the text say? Where should it take them? So it is just going to stick up here, just a button during the whole video, and it can link to some other resource you want them to have, or maybe, maybe you are describing the directions for a project, and that link takes them to, the project rubric. So you can make some use of that if you want, but there's not a lot of flexibility. Like, it's just there the whole time. It's just one thing. And then this custom thumbnail is how your videos look when the kids are about to watch them. So mine, kind of looks like this, right? If you want a custom thumbnail, you could do your own like branding. Like maybe you want at the beginning of every video to say, Mr. Smith's biology class. It could just be the same thing. Or maybe you want like a title that's really nice for it. You can do that here. And you just make that picture, maybe on a PowerPoint, you say like lesson 7 lecture, take a picture of it, screenshot, throw it in, and then you just have kind of like what you want that opening thing to be, if you want that. So then navigating and journal on the website. So this is all if I'm in an actual video. You go to my videos, this is where you see like all your videos in one place. And you can double click to get back here into a video and do all those things, or you can work from this screen. I can select a video, and then I have some options over here like renaming the title, moving it into a folder, and I have an archive button, which is kind of nice. So archive might be, you got a bunch of videos for a class you're not teaching this semester. You don't want to delete them, but you also want them out of your face. So you can archive them, or you can just make a folder for them too. But they have this archive option, and I'll show you how you get them out in a second. And then this is the Chrome extension thing. So I'm putting an X on it, because what'll happen invariably is you'll be in here and be like, I need to make a new video, and you'll click here, and first it'll prompt you to download the extension if you don't have it, and which takes 2 seconds. But then also you'll be like, wait a minute, everything looks different, and I can't do my pen tool, and the problem is that you clicked here, you need to go back to your desktop app if you want the full suite. Here's where you can make a new folder. You can also make a public folder, which is really cool. So a public folder means you can throw some videos in a folder and share the link to that folder with your kids. So maybe this is something summative, like here's all the chapter 1 lectures in one place for you to study for your test You know, you can compile them, throw that link, you know, as up there wherever you want for them to have access to it all in one place. And that might be a reason why, like, you might typically use Edpuzzles, but maybe for something like that, where you're just giving them a resource and you don't need to track it, you might just want to make like a shared public folder or whatever, or just link to the Loom videos as opposed to like an Edpuzzle thing. You can click on this little chain link looking icon and get a share link for the video just kind of quickly. And then you click on 3 little dots and it's pretty much all the same stuff, except that you can that you could get to in the other screen. You rename, archive, download, duplicate. And then here's where you find your archive stuff. So here are my folders. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, this is letting me know this is a shared folder, right, that I can send a link to. And then I can click on archive to get anything I threw in my archive here on the bottom. So a few just tips, these are kind of common sense, but you know, obviously you want to record someplace quiet, pay attention to what's in the background. And when I say that, I don't mean because I think like something inappropriate is going to be the background. I just mean it's distracting if it's like cluttery, you know, if it looks kind of a mess behind you, it's just distracting. So trying to have like a nice, you know, clean background is helpful. And then, you know, make sure you're closing, minimizing computer windows that you don't want on there. You can always cut things out later, but it's just easier if you kind of clear off your space, you know, before you start recording. And also a really big one that I need to actually be better about is don't be afraid of mistakes and don't like waste a lot of time getting crazy with editing, because honestly, like, they don't really care. If you misspeak and you start over your sentence, I mean, it's just like if you were with them in person, like, you don't get to edit it. I'm really bad at getting so minute and trying to like cut out every time I said I mean, it gets crazy and I have to make myself stop because it's not the best use of my time. You know what I mean? So I really encourage you guys, don't like be perfectionists about these videos. A couple of resources that are just embedded in the account. If you go under my videos, you already have a folder called How to Use Loom. So there are some how-tos in there. If you click on Other, they have some other categories, and they have an education one, and they have little tips for using Loom for education. There's nothing like super revolutionary in there, but I think it's a resource they're going to continue to build. It might be something worth, you know, taking a peek in. Okay, so that's Loom. Any questions about Loom? And we'll have, you know, a chance to practice. And I gave you a little bit of a step sheet just to, you know, to follow as well, especially if you're new to Loom. Now I want to kind of pivot and talk about Screencastomatic. There's a free tool. Yeah.
I did have one question about Loom.
Yeah.
I did several videos at the end of last year, and I would try to export them so that I could line up audio in Pro Tools. When I exported or copied or downloaded, there's a border around the outside of the screen that shows part of my desktop, even if I picked.
Really?
Don't do that. Do you know how to get rid of that?
Well, now that they're adding where you can draw on the screen, that add-in, I'm hopeful that maybe that will fix that, because you can define your space more than you could before. So there's that. The other thing for that would be, you know, if you're in a better editing program, you could cut it out. Like I think with Screencastomatic Suite, you probably could do that, or iMovie or something like that. Yeah.
With the Loom app or the Loom desktop app, for some reason it's not letting me sign in with my Outlook. I need to sign in with something else.
So I know when we set those up, I know some people use Google when they set it up, and some people, like, if we go into your online account, I can actually find out. I can drill down and see. Yeah, when we get to, we'll have lots of time where we can work and play. Remind me, and someone else, they couldn't figure it out, and when we looked in, it actually said like connected to Google. We're like, oh, you must have set up Google.
I had to download the app twice.
Okay.
So the first time it didn't pop up on my desktop or anything. The second time it did, and then
yeah, I'll help you figure that out.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I've had a couple people like that, and we were
Raina?
Yeah.
Raina, is, just before you get started, this is probably a stupid question, but should we be choosing sort of between using Loom and Screencastomatic? Are they kind of the same thing, but different? So that's what I'm talking about.
So there is one tool that Screencastomatic has that I'm going to show you that's that I think is worthwhile if it's something that would be helpful for you that you might want to use that's free. And then I'm going to talk about basically as a free tool, Screencastomatic is not as good as Loom as a free tool. As a paid tool, Screencastomatic has a lot of benefits. and it's only $20 a year, so it's not real expensive. So but it's one of those things where like a lot of teachers, Loom is enough. You don't really need it, but if there's some more things you can do to Screencast-O-Matic. So I would say, you would, if you did want to buy Screencast-O-Matic, then you'd probably stick with that. Like, why would you need Loom when this does that too?
Mm-hmm.
But as a free tool, if Loom meets all your needs, then you probably don't need Screencast-O-Matic. But there is one free part that is cool that I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
All right. So this is why Screencast-O-Matic. So they have a really cool, this is actually a brand new screenshot tool where when you take screenshots, you can really quickly and easily kind of highlight them and annotate them. And it's pretty nifty. So I actually have this little video I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit.
Everyone, this is Leslie Fisher with lesliefisher.com.
Are you able to hear that on do you see the video, Elizabeth?
Yes. Is there any way you could make it bigger?
Yeah, I will. Let me get out of my.
But yes, I can hear it. Thank you.
Okay. Let me pull this up and to get it on this screen. Okay, here we go.
I was trying to do that from my end, but I don't think I can. I think you have to.
I hope you're doing well. So at the time of this recording, on last Friday, I did a webinar called Screencasting, Sharing, Recording, Plethora. And it was an overview of all the different types of tools out there. And there was a couple things I showed that really surprised the attendees. So I want to share one of them with you. And it involves Screencast-O-Matic. Now, I've been using Screencast-O-Matic for years. I record my video blog posts with them. I'm using it right now to record this video blog post. And in my blogs, you will even see a video blog post of using the video editor feature in Screencast-O-Matic. It is very handy. It is quite affordable, $19 a year for the editing suite. You could record for free. They also have announced a new web portal where you can store videos, choose who can see those videos. It gives you all sorts of options, and that's part of their premium model. But it's a great way if you want a little bit more control over who sees your content or whatnot. This might be worth exploring. So the new tool that I want to show you is completely free, and it is now a screenshot feature. There's a lot of screenshot features out there, but this one gives you a lot of extra nice bells and whistles, all for free. And if you've used Screencast-O-Matic already, you're probably already familiar and you will be comfortable with this scenario. So I'm going to come in here. There's a couple ways that I can do this. I could come right in here to capture screenshot. I could also come right up in here to this new menu. And you'll see in this new menu, it says take a screenshot, launch the recorder, open the editor, and then I can also share where things are uploaded. And then I have here an overview of different screenshots and recordings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and say capture screenshot. So it says ready to take a screenshot. So let's do this. Let's go to my calendar. We'll go to my webinar calendar. And we'll come here to the list of the webinars at the time of this recording that I'm planning on doing. And we'll come in here and say ready for a screenshot. And I'll say, yeah, ready. And so now it's going to say, you don't see it here on the right side. Let me see if I could move it there. And it's kind of nice, depending on where you move your mouse, this guy will bounce around. So you'll see click and drag to select an area, press escape to cancel screenshot, press enter to capture this entire screen, and it should be saying single click to capture this window. So I'm going to single click and I'm going to capture the window, and you'll see it says that the screenshot has been copied. So now I can come in here and I can say, let's open this in the editor. Let's go in there and let's store this in a folder, or let's share this. So I could just share this directly online if I wanted to. I'm going to come in here and say open the screenshot editor. And let's move this guy in here so you can see it. And here it is, folks. This is the screenshot editor. And as I mentioned before, if you have used Screencast-O-Matic, you are familiar with this. There's a couple of things I can do in here. I can come in and crop and resize. I can add an arrow. So if I come in here and say add an arrow, I'm going to drag this arrow here. And then what I can do is I can come in here where it says quick style. I already have, for example, that's my company color. And I can come in here and I can customize all of this, all the colors and all sorts of nice little features. When I'm done, I'll just click on done. I also have the shape option. So I could come in here and check out all these different shapes that I could add directly into my screenshot. And those quick styles are there as well. And if I want to get rid of something, no problem. I could just say done. Had a guest star. And then come in here and say delete. And so there's also a highlight tool. So if I wanted to highlight something, I could just take this guy and I could drag that. And then we'll make this a little bit bigger. And there we go. So I can change the highlight. And when I change the highlight, I can actually come in here and change the style. So I could change the opacity of this. I have all of these options that I can do, which is pretty nice. And so we'll bring this up a little bit. We'll say done. And then click done there. Now we have the blur feature. This is so great. Let's say you had, for example, nothing against Microsoft Teams. Let's say you had, for example, I keep just messing this one up ever so slightly when I've done this before. There we go. If you student picture, phone numbers, certain text, you just saw text messaging across, and I used the video blur to probably hide that information. But now I have this great option to be able to blur on the screenshot and text options. So I can come in here and I can enter the text, and just like you've seen with the other ones, I can come in and completely change the style. And then this is probably one of the ones that when I showed this, a lot of people were like, what? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say steps. So now I'm going to click on steps, and now I have step 1, step 2, step 3. And when I do that, I can come in here once again, just like everywhere else, completely change the style. So very handy. When I click on done, I'll click on done here. What I love is it also shows you where are all of these items. And if I need to get back to them, I just go and I click on it. And that takes me straight to the ability to further edit or remove that option. So once I'm done with this, I could say copy this image. I could export this image. I could also publish this image online. I have all these things that I could do. When I'm done, I click on done. And this will then be stored into my Screencastomatic area. And I can come back at this at any point and edit it again.
Okay, so thinking of that idea on that, I'm gonna highlight a couple things about it. It's real quick and easy, and it just gives you a lot of options as far as putting some video. So I did one real quick where I grabbed the skeleton. And you know, especially if you have a PC, this is faster than using like your snipping tool, I feel like too. If you have a Mac, you probably use their shortcut. But you grab it, and then I did all this with my skeleton, and this is just showing you, you know, what's there, but the after looks more like this. So I blurred the space, I put, you know, an arrow. It was really quick and easy. I labeled something. I think it's a really cool tool. This is the kind of thing that normally I would have probably tried to do like on a PowerPoint slide or something, and I would have taken a picture of it and like inserted it into something. And so this is a little quicker and easier, and it looks pretty snazzy. And all of these little things that show you that you can do the picture, you could also be doing those with the video. So that was kind of showing you part of like the interface of like the video editing looks like. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. But so as I mentioned earlier, Screencastomatic is not the best free one because it's a 15-minute time limit, which Loom doesn't have. You can only trim the beginning and the end of the video. You can't cut in the middle. So if I'm just looking at a free, you know, recording tool, I would definitely pick Loom every time. But if I'm willing to pay $20, or me or my department is willing to pay $20, there's a lot more that Screencastomatic can do when it comes to editing. So, and that trial, I would say if you're interested, they do have a 30-day free trial. It is also just $20 a year. So, I mean, it's not that big of an investment. There is a Premiere version. That's more expensive. I don't think that is necessary. This is much more for like businesses who want to like have their own branding and that kind of thing. But I could be wrong. You may find there's something you like. So if you buy it, then you can just do a lot more with your video. You can, you know, all those sort of things like adding arrows. You guys have seen my training videos of the spraying. A lot of people ask me, well, how did you do that? How did you blur that? How do you highlight it? You can't do that kind of stuff with Loom, right? You can do that kind of stuff with Screencastomatic. And then also you can splice videos together in Screencastomatic, which is nice. You can't do that with Loom. And you can rearrange things in your video. I've actually had stuff I recorded before and decided, you know what, I want this minute to come later. So when I just cut that out and move it over here, because really now I realize the order of this lesson doesn't make sense, but I can fix it right here on the back end. So that's the perk of Screencastomatic. Now, if you're going to go ahead and get Screencastomatic, you might as well just use it for any screencasting that you need to do. It's going to work just as well. So, but for a lot of us, Loom does all we need. It really just depends, like, you know, what do you need? What do you want? And this is a great option if you need more editing. So if you do want it, I would say, you know, get the 30-day free trial, play with it, and then I feel pretty confident your department head would probably give you $20. We'll see, but it is only $20. So I feel like if it's something I really wanted, I would just go ahead and get it. So what I'd love you guys to do now with just the time we have left, if you would at least just practice, you know, making like one little thing, even if it's just picking up the background noise in the room, just to make sure that you feel comfortable with it. You know, if you're interested in Screencastomatic, you might go ahead and download it and, you know, play with it while I'm here to kind of assist with that.